The only thing I disagree with is when she said that he hadn't been vetted. No, he had been vetted. All of the things that have been stated, it was all out in the public. And people like Khanna, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Tim Walz, the Bulwark, Pod Save America, all these people came together to overlook it all, to explain it all, to rationalize it all. He was vetted. People knew all these things.
So Scott Jennings here on CNN, he's got one of the best jobs in the world because he gets to just dunk on Democrats and get paid for it. Now, what he is saying right here is so important, and it's all because of this Graham Platner, what I would call bombshell, and I don't even know if it warrants bombshell, because the Democrat Party knew what kind of baggage that Graham Platner had. And now there's an actual woman that is coming out, and she is saying that Graham Platner broke into her home. He assaulted her. There's no corroboration, but the way that the Democrat Party has framed this, if you go back to Brett Kavanaugh, if you go to the President of the United States, anytime a woman makes an accusation, you have to believe them without a shadow of a doubt. If you don't, you hate women, you hate your grandmother, you hate your daughter, you hate your mom. That's the method that they have used. And now a lot of Democrats are coming out and withdrawing their support, but there's a catch. They're withdrawing their support, and right now they don't have a replacement for Graham Platner. He's yet to step down. However, a former Obama disciple, Susan Rice, lives in Maine, and I believe she is the logical replacement. Number one, she's black. Number two, female. Number three, hardcore left-wing Obama disciple Democrat. That's what's happening, and that could be the real way that the Democrats skirt this problem. They replace the racist abuser with the Nazi tattoo with Susan Rice. It's the logical move here. Leave a comment down below before we get too far into this video, and I'm going to break this all down for you. But the Democrats have a problem. It's got a tattoo, and it's not going away quickly.
And a whole bunch of Democrats in Maine showed up and voted for him anyway. And a bunch of donors from around the country sent him money anyway. I agree with Alyssa's question. What changed? Why are you bailing on Graham Platner now? You already signed off on Nazi tattoo, a self-described communist, somebody who's had rape fantasies, somebody who has been on a social media platform known as a playground for predators, and on and on and on and on and on. And the difference between this accuser and the previous one is simply this. She's a liberal. It's okay, I guess, for Democrats that their candidates assault conservatives. But he broke into someone's house and apparently, according to her, raped her. And because her politics are correct, they can now believe it. All of this whole thing is disgusting. But to say that they hadn't vetted him or that they didn't know about all this is totally false. They knew it and they signed up for it. And I don't know why they're backing away from this scumbag today when they had already signed off on all that other.
They did vet him. There is proof that they vetted him. And I have the proof right here. And I'm going to show you this. The proof comes from, of all places, the Wall Street Journal. Top Democrats push for Platner to exit the Senate race. I want you to see this little minute-and-a-half long clip of the person that actually vetted Graham Platner. So they went along with it. They endorsed every evil, vile, disgusting thing that he's accused of, and they knew about it.
At this point, you hadn't vetted Graham Platner. You hadn't done a full scrub of who he is. How did you go about vetting him?
We paid a nice firm a whole chunk of money and got some stuff back. Some of what you've seen on the news we got back. Other stuff we didn't.
Did the vetting process turn up the tattoo that became so controversial?
No.
The Reddit posts?
Listen to how his voice increases in pitch as it gets worse.
Did that turn up in the vetting process?
The firm sent us a thing and it had some of the posts, but it didn't have all of them.
And what did you think about that? How did you think your way through the fact that he had posted these things on social media?
I said none of this will or should stop him from becoming a U.S. Senator.
And what was your thinking there?
Agree. I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never done or said anything that they might regret their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our thesis here is that people do not want their candidates grown in vats. They want people who are real human beings, and they want people who do not look and sound like the vat-grown people who've been leading this country off a cliff for the last century.
So you see there that they knew everything. And some of the things they didn't know, now they're just ignoring. They don't care how bad of a candidate Graham Platner is. Their hatred for Trump, their willingness to do anything to try to impeach him, they will overlook every bad thing about this candidate. Now, Scott Jennings brings up a great point that now, because the woman that's accusing him is a liberal, they have to believe her. They have to, just like Christine Blasey Ford with Brett Kavanaugh, with E. Jean Carroll against the President of the United States. They have to believe him. And I believe Scott Jennings is right that the Democrats have painted themselves into a corner. They have no choice but to replace him because of their own standards, even though it could very well cause them to lose the state of Maine. And Maine is one of those battleground states that they really need. And Graham Platner came out with this statement. I'll play a little bit of this. Most of you have probably already seen it, so I don't want to bore you with it. I don't think he's been humbled. I think he's been caught. I think he's been exposed. Those are two very different things. Now, this is a post that didn't age well for Graham Platner. He was on NPR about a month ago, and just listen to what he says here. Tell me if this aged very well.
You represent masculinity in certain ways. The Democrats have trouble connecting with male voters. Describe the masculinity that you represent?
I think it's just a healthy form of it, which is, look, I mean, I lift weights. I shoot guns. My background is obviously in the military. I work outside. Most of my hobbies are things that people tend to associate with like manly stuff, I guess. At the exact same time, I go to therapy. I have a very open sort of dialogue and emotional relationship with my wife. I work incredibly hard to put myself in places where I share space with folks.
You represent.
I think he put himself in a place where he shared some space with some folks that didn't want him there, because the accusation is that he broke into the home of at the time, a girlfriend, did some things to her against her will, and now this is what they're with. But the white dudes for Harris method didn't work. Tim Walz with the jazzy hands, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Gavin Newsom, Mamdani, all of the men that the Democrat Party have put forward don't have the deep voice, don't have the beard, don't have the rolled up sleeves with the tattoos. Graham Platner's got it all. This was their guy. And now their guy with the toxic masculinity of breaking into a home is not looking good for the Democrat Party. I'd love to get your opinion. Do you think Graham Platner should drop out? Do you think he will drop out? Now, we saw Eric Swalwell drop out of the race in California because there were some things that cropped up. Now this guy is getting all this support withdrawn from Khanna, the millionaire that hates millionaires, Ruben Gallego, the guy that was in some photos allegedly with Swalwell. So it just seems like a level of hypocrisy that we haven't noticed before, or that we haven't wanted to admit before. But even now, the Democrats have some real questions to answer.
No, he had been vetted. All of the things that have been stated, it was all out in the public. And people like Khanna, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Tim Walz, the Bulwark, Pod Save America, all these people came together to overlook it all, to explain it all, to...
They overlooked everything. They did not care. Now, this is the clip of the lady that's making the accusations against Graham Platner. I am not going to play this. There is some very graphic information in it. CNN chose to do that. I'm not going to do that here. As someone with a daughter, a wife, and many women viewers, I don't need to hear this. I've helped a lot of female veterans file claims for assault cases that they've suffered. I don't know if this lady is telling the truth. I don't have evidence to say she is. I don't have evidence to say she isn't. More importantly, it's not my job to say she's wrong or right. My thought process is here that using the own standards that the Democrat Party has established, we have to believe her. Graham Platner has to step down. Now, what does that do to the congressional or the Senate race? I don't know. President Trump probably needs to carry Maine, needs to keep Susan Collins. I'm not a big fan of Susan Collins. But I'm also not a fan of people that hate America. And it doesn't seem like Graham Platner really cares for the United States, doesn't really care for the rule of law. CNN doesn't really care for putting out the truth, because here is one of their paid operatives, Jackson Hinkle, in Iran during the funeral for the Ayatollah Khomeini. And listen to what he says. And I believe he's saying this not only to show his hatred for the United States, but I think it's more targeted towards the president of the United States.
Down with USA! Down with USA! Down with USA! Down with USA!
You get the point here. This guy is a member of CNN, paid Democrat operative, holding an Iranian flag in Tehran, chanting "Down with USA." We know how this plays out. I want to say we've got multiple problems here in the United States. We have candidates like Graham Platner running for office. We have paid members of the media like Jackson Hinkle spreading what I would call propaganda, direct propaganda against the United States of America. Those are major problems. For some reason, these are white guys for Harris. This is what they wanted. This is what they're getting. Now, I don't know if those two things align, but they thought they were going to connect with Americans by having this kind of policy. I really appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you there.